Hi, it's Terry from My Ketogenic Family, and today I'm going to show you how I make fat bombs. My original recipe, of course, comes from Maria Emmerich, and I'll link it below. It's for her Keto Almond Joy. And it was a recipe I found a few months ago, and I started making it regularly. And then the other day I got some Keto Bricks, and I didn't know what to do with them or how to eat them. Some people say you just open it up and kind of chew on it, but I melted these down and added them to my original recipe, and turns out that they're pretty good. The first ones I made were with a malt flavored keto brick, and I just added my original ingredients and it turned out so good. So today I'm going to try with the peanut butter keto brick and see how that turns out. I'm going to open up the keto brick and drop it in here. I'm going to put it in the microwave and melt it down for a few minutes. So the keto brick is completely melted. You can see it's completely liquid in there now. I'll add my original recipe ingredients. So to this, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of coconut oil, but this is a Nutiva butter flavored coconut oil. And we're just gonna do 4 tablespoons. The butter flavored coconut oil gives it such a different flavor. I didn't think that I was gonna like this, but I really enjoy it. You could probably also use butter. I just think that the coconut oil firms up a little better than butter does. And it gives it more of a better mouthfeel, I think. You can also add 2 to 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder. I just use Hershey's. You can use whichever type of cocoa powder you like best. Again, I just always have cocoa powder, Hershey's cocoa powder on hand for my coffees and stuff like that. We're gonna add 2 to 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder. I'm only gonna add 2 because chocolate is not my friend. It's also got some oxalates, and I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about oxalates, but they're not kind to me, so I don't add a lot, just enough to flavor it. The next ingredient in the recipe is 2 tablespoons of butter, a nut butter of some sort. So you can use something like an unsalted, unsweetened peanut butter. I get this just peanuts and salt. Oh, actually, I think it's just peanuts. Dry roasted peanuts is all that's in that. So you could use peanuts. I buy this for our dog, so I don't use this, but if peanuts are okay for you, you could totally use that. There's also Legendary Foods. This one is pecan pie flavored almond butter. Almonds, again, have some oxalates in them, and so I don't use a whole bunch of this, but 2 tablespoons should be enough to give it some flavor. My daughter really loves this nutso. It's a blend of cashews, almonds, Brazil nuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, hazelnuts, pumpkin seeds, and some sea salt. So that's nutso. I think nutso comes in a couple different flavors. I get this at Costco. And then you can also use sun butter, no sugar added sunflower seed butter. Definitely has a different taste to it. So you could use any of those. I'm gonna use the Legendary Foods one. 2 tablespoons of that. And then that could be your recipe, but the next part is where you want to give it some sort of like mouthfeel or crunch. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut flakes. You can use, these are just grocery store unsweetened coconut flakes. You can add 2-3 tablespoons of it, just enough so that it has some sort of a crunch. Next is pecans. You could leave out nuts or you could add in different kinds of nuts. Again, I'm not a big fan of almonds, so I use pecans when I'm doing a recipe, or I also use macadamia nuts. I think since this is 2 tablespoons also. Since I did the peanut butter keto brick, I probably should have done peanuts, but too late now. So I also have these coconut flakes that I bought, Chef's Choice, and they're just a thicker cut, but you could use whatever coconut flakes you have on hand. You could also here add like chocolate chips or sunflower seeds, just something different. Next is gonna be just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna shake a couple shakes in there. You could also add cinnamon, or if you wanted to add some specific flavor, you could also do that too here. So Here's where I'm going to just make sure that we get all the butter, all the nut butter in there. And then I'm just gonna mix it up. You could also leave the Keto Brick out, and they firm up really nice and well also. But again, I was trying to figure out what to do with my Keto Bricks or how to eat them, and so this is what I've come up with. I also have this organic raw whole coconut. It's coconut butter. I use this in my coffees, a tablespoon or two. Really gives your coffee thicker flavor if you can't have dairy. This is what I started using it for, but you could also use this in place of the coconut oil. But once you see it's kind of all mixed up, then you pour it into any type of silicone pan or a liner. This is little tiny strawberries. You could also use silicone cups like cupcake liners. I was doing this at first and then just popping them out. And then I have this, I was making hot cocoa bombs in the winter, but you can use these and just make the candies in there. I also have this pan that does little tiny squares. So I'm gonna use this one for now. I'm gonna pour them in and then I'll show you what happens to them next. So to pour these into a serving size, I use my Pampered Chef medium-sized scoop to measure out, make sure that they're all the same size. If it's too watery, you could put it in the fridge and let it firm up a little bit. But I find that it's easier to pour this way. It usually makes about 12 servings. I do have the macros for what I'm making here, but you can always use, I use MyFitnessPal, add the recipe, and then you can figure out, depending on how many servings you come up with, you can figure out exactly your perfect macros for these fat bombs. I don't eat fat bombs too often anymore, but my family does, and they always enjoy after dinner something. So I like to make these and have them available for them. What I do is I pop them in the freezer, and then once they're done, I will put them in a Ziploc bag and just have them available for anyone who wants something. Here's what they look like. They're a little watery, but I want to show you up close what they look like all poured into the cavities. Like I said, you could also use a smaller to make more or less. I forgot to mention also that if you're just starting out, or you the Keto Brick, if you're not using the Keto Brick has some stevia in it. But if you're not using this and you're just starting out and you don't like the flavor, it's not sweet enough, you can always add a couple tablespoons of swerve or allulose or one of the sweeteners that are approved or that you can tolerate. And don't forget that if you're using a sweetener and you're just starting out, it may give you some gastric distress just because you're not used to it. So give it a little time, start off slow, and then increase it. You really don't need a lot because a little goes a long way with this stuff. But I'm gonna pop these in the freezer and then I'll show you what they look like once they come out. These are a couple I already had done, and they just pop out of the silicone mold into little squares like this, and then you can figure out how much each one of these squares has. If you have small children, you can make little tiny ones like this, tiny strawberry mold I have, and serve them as candy. So that's pretty much it. Again, you can make these with or without the Keto Brick. I think the Keto Brick adds some extra special flavor and extra nutrients to it. So try it and let me know what you think, and make sure and like this video, subscribe to my page, and let me know what other videos you want to see. Thanks.